I just wanted to start really by talking about how we look to maintain today's standards and build for the future, because ultimately, as a standards body, we have lots of roles, and that is a core component of how we look at things from a strategic point of view. I don't have many introductory slides because I think we all know who we are, but ultimately, Building Smart is an international community. And if you look at our chapter slide, I think it gives us a really good idea, not only of our chapter network, but all of the considerations that we have as we think about building smart standards and services and how we can support this international community. We're a pretty small, lean team at Building Smart International, but we have a big set of resources out there that we look to enable, and our chapters are a brilliant way of doing that. And of course, a lot of people connected to our chapter network, but it also comes with its challenges. And I think this slide does represent, in a nutshell, the opportunity, but also the challenges we do face with lots of different inputs, lots of different requirements, lots of different perspectives that help contribute to enrich what we do, but also the complexity of it is quite high. Even if you think about how many different languages are there on this slide itself, then you consider that for standardization is quite a challenge. We have had a period of change, I would say, at Building Smart. But saying that, I think we should also look back with some sort of proud view of what we've also achieved, which I think is also quite remarkable. So just over the last sort of 18 months or something, we've delivered some pretty significant things. If you consider IFC 4.3 now as an ISO standard, it's a wonderful achievement, right? That's our best standard yet. IFC 4.3, we know its importance, we know it needs to be implemented and deployed. IFC 4.4 is being prepared for ISO, so we'll have an update on that shortly. We've had a lot of progress with IFC validation service, so this is becoming a really cool service for end users. And we've been making updates and improvements to our professional certification program, updating our foundation course and launching the practitioner training, which gives everybody an opportunity to learn more about OpenBIM. We have developments with our data dictionary, the BSDD. IFC 5 core project plan has been produced. We expect some good discussions over the next couple of days. And the technical domain meeting regularly is a really good sign that we're developing the technical support required because there is a lot of considerations. We have our import and export certification program and been updating our publication compatibility policies with ISO and strengthening our relationship with ISO, which I think is really important if you think about the role we play and the role ISO played. And lastly, we actually just had a business plan approved by the board just in January, a couple of weeks ago, which I'm going to share a little bit of the outlook for that and explain why that's quite important. The business plan, which we are about to distribute and share, is really our strategic horizon for the next 3 years. The reason it's 3 years long is that, well, we need it to span multiple years to deal with multiple topics, but it needs to be realistic and measurable. So the business plan is really the sort of foundation for delivering and continuing to design the immediate challenges with our future roadmaps at Building Smart International. There are some clear objectives within that, and using KPIs, we're able to track the performance of the outcomes of that. And I think that's really key from our strategic point of view. It's aligned with a budget, and it has a prioritization and next steps, and we will develop those with the team in consultation with various committees. So it's a really good point in which we have some vision to move forward and find particularly interesting is how we develop technical roadmaps to meet the requirements. So some of the features of this business plan: we're looking to hire a managing director, which will help obviously guide the organization into the next few years. We're looking to hire a technical leader. I think that's very important. From ASHTO, for example, and some of the work we're doing there with some of the committees, that we have technical leadership. We heard that loud and clear. I think that was very good. But also we want to reinforce technical resources. We just had a discussion earlier about resourcing things like forums and GitHub. and we need support in those areas. So we want to reinforce these areas as part of this plan. We need to restore our governance, our committees, and the confidence within the market. So this is outlined within the plan. And we need to do things like update the BSI process, which we know needs to meet future demands, and that's clearly outlined. We need to strengthen these relationships, and we have a plan for that, and develop our next generation of standards. So again, supporting the existing standards, but also how do we develop the next ones? We also want to accelerate global adoption. So that's clear, as part of that, we have to improve the adoption opportunities for people and also professionalize with our software and professional certification program. Some of the key technical outputs of the business plan is to strengthen the domains with clearer structure and support, maintain our existing standards, actually physically take IFC 4.3 through ISO with a new work order, and advance IFC roadmap with modularization. So some real specifics within there about what it is we want to achieve with clear KPIs. We need to increase the use of services, so making sure that things like the data dictionary are reliable for markets, like here in the US. How does the data dictionary support the needs, the customization, the property sets, the things that are needed here, and also complement things like translation services and documentation. Yeah, and the other thing to mention is that we want to develop the next version of the technical roadmap that actually span 5 years, and we need to look at the horizon, which, of course, when you consider things like AI, well, what is the role of OpenBIM in AI, which is an interesting question. How do you build technologies off the back of the foundation of OpenBIM? I think we need to put out some clear guidelines about how we're going to do that. So I think the message here is we want a clearer long-term vision for the industry, and reminding that we are servants of the industry, so we need to respond to industry demand and requirements. The best way I could consider how to show everybody how we are investing in that in pragmatic terms was to say, well, if we go back to our OpenBIM workflow diagram that we've been sharing a lot, which is describing how to use IDS, how you produce IFC models, how you can communicate them with the BSCF, how you can deliver those with APIs, how we can reference those with the Building Smart Data Dictionary, and then validate the models with this workflow that we developed that became very user-friendly. We then distilled down our business plan and our budget to show where we have our resource constraints and where we are investing at BSI with the business plan. So it really is great news, because we can now define where we are going to put our focus with the resources we have. So for the data dictionary, we sort of consider that in maintenance mode at the moment. So we've developed the service, it's being very useful, and we're maintaining that with the investment that we have, which is great. The same for IDS in terms of the investment. We have some discussions. We want to talk about IDS checking and auditing. So I think that can be a discussion we have to help us prioritize if we've got that right. I think those are things that we would like to hear. How do you consider things like IDS certification potential? So yeah, at the moment we consider that also in maintenance mode, because we have a very successful standard in IDS, probably the wildfire of standards at the moment. But what are the future requirements for that? Then we would consider our core standard like IFC is in building. So we're building the 4.4, the 4.3 implementation, 4.4 to ISO, and of course IFC 5 project development as mentioned. So we're really building the foundations for the future as part of that. And then I know there's a bit of work with BCF working group, which looks at the update of the APIs, as well as pushing adoption of CDE as well. So this kind of gives you a picture based on where we have our budgets and where our business plans are, about where we're focusing our time and efforts at BSI. But that is obviously subject to refinement, industry input, and of course we'll maintain it that way. There are other enablers that we have there, like translations framework, which I think we have some, maybe for other markets in terms of translating and documenting changes to IFC. We also continue to invest in UCM and enablers such as our software certification and professional certification really are enriched by us accelerating validation service, for example. Finally, from a sort of strategic point of view, this was the message that actually we discussed or laid out in Singapore a year ago, which was really, yeah, Building Smart is co-developing these standards side by side, and we have to do that. And there's no priority on those. All versions are prioritized. Each version serves a different industry need, for example. Yeah, and I think the core message is that, well, we're still here developing interoperable standards. We're enjoying the benefits of being able to bring the software communities together and the stakeholders. And yeah, we're very happy with the fact we've got some clear direction now at Building Smart International, which I think is really beneficial for everybody. Are there any questions? Apart from the spelling error on the screen. How many people noticed that? Hands up, Dan. So the business plan is designed to be a foundation for also future roadmaps that we have. We've had technical roadmap, strategic roadmap, but I think we need to develop those in the coming months and years so that we give some confidence back to the industry. So I think this business plan is going to be really, and we're very much sharing that with the community as a consultation process with our chapters, the SCE, the SCTE, the SAC, more acronyms than you need to know, but ultimately it's a consultation document that enlists the support of the community that we need to help us get to where we need to get to.